Can you create a logo using Firefly and Illustrator? It turns out you can. We're going to be using Firefly for ideas and mood boards and for product images, and we're going to be using Illustrator to create a vector logo that you can use anywhere. All right, let's get started. So where to start when you're creating a logo? Well, first things first, we need to define our brand. So I've created these descriptions for our brand, and now we can start on our mood board. Use the search tool to search stock photography that matches your brand's style. So we have our mood board full of images. Next, I want to make a pattern that could be used as wallpaper in our smoothie cafe. So these patterns are repeatable. So just like regular wallpaper, you duplicate them and they match up. Next, I'm going to come up with a brand character. Now I'm going to search Firefly for a little girl enjoying juice. I found this image that does seem to fit the brand personality that I was looking for. Next, I'm going to take this image into Illustrator and I'm going to trace it so we have a vector logo image. So we're going to create vectors out of this image and we're going to use image trace to do that. So I've used image trace and I've used a limited color palette, and I've made sure that I'm going to ask it to ignore the background color, add transparency, and that's it. I'm going to hit expand. So our logo is going to consist of this girl and the name of the cafe that's going to go around her. Further fine-tuning this image, I'm going to remove some of the shapes that we don't need. And some of the paths I'm going to smooth out a little bit. It's important to go in and make sure that the vector shapes are correct and smooth and also simplified, because if you have any errors in your shape, once you use this logo image at a large size, you're really going to see those mistakes. So it's important to go in and fix everything. This is common when you use image trace because it's going to create many more paths than you actually need, and it will create shapes that are a little off. Neither AI or image trace in Illustrator create perfect vector images. So we're comparing the original image to the vector image that we created, making sure that we've got the details that we want from the original image. The next thing we're going to do is create our logo type to go around the image. For this font, I've chosen Quicksand. To figure out which font you want for your logo, I highly suggest you go to fonts.adobe.com, search the tags to find a font style that matches the personality of your brand. I'm going to create another board and start creating some colors for our brand. I've added some examples of some style colors that I like from other resources, and I'm going to create some color palettes based on these logos. Next, we're going to take the logo type and we're going to bend it around a circle so it's covering the top of her head. And we're going to use the type on a path tool. Now we're going to create a circle background that will go behind the illustration. So we're going to select this circle, hit copy, and now I'm going to hit Command F or paste in front. So I played around a little bit with some of the colors and went in and modified some of the details in the illustration to make sure that the juice actually stands out in the illustration for the logo, and it's the primary thing that your eye focuses on when you look at this logo. So now we have a semblance of a logo. We also need to make a version that's strictly black and white. For both of these, we're going to have to make a version that is also where the font is a vector. And we're going to select the font and we're going to do type, create outlines. For logo designs, you definitely want to create versions of each of these. So full color SVG file, that would be vector and that would be friendly for websites. Full color PNG file, which is good for everything. Make sure you make that transparent. Full color EPS file that's editable in Illustrator. Then you want black versions of each and white versions of each. That way you have a full set of logos for use. So now that we have our logo, let's bring it into Firefly and see what we can do with it. Now let's see what our logo looks like on a juice cup. For this, I'm going to use Flux Context Pro because it does a great job at creating branded mockups. And here we have our juice cup with our logo on it, and it looks great. Let's create a sign mockup. For this, I'm going to use a reference image to help explain to the AI model what it is I'm looking for, which is a circular sign. And this is what it came up with, our brand on a circular sign. So let's take our wallpaper of smoothies and see what it would look like in an actual cafe wall. We'll use Flux Context Pro again for this one. And here's our cafe wall. So there we have our logo on a juice cup and our logo outside of a cafe. And we also have a really cool repeatable wall pattern inside of a cafe. Firefly helped me find the brand's visual voice. Illustrator made the logo professional, and Firefly Boards brought the whole look together. That's how you go from idea to brand, fast, but still design driven. Hope you enjoyed this overview of how to create a logo in Firefly and Illustrator. Make sure and like and subscribe.